And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Signposts Live. Good to be with all of you here again today. So, with the Signposts Live, we are going to be taking some viewer topics very shortly. I'm going to be looking a little bit more into the current situation with Canada and the current situation of the United States. After that, we'll be getting right into viewer topics. I was looking at some things this morning and wanted to get a little bit more clarity about how things are going pertaining to those two countries. And then we're going to go ahead and tackle some questions that you guys have. So, first and foremost, before we go ahead and get started, we'll start off with announcements.
Source Energy enhanced products to repair and rejuvenate the body. From the power of light to crystals to bed kits, card decks, and more. View our free samples, tutorials, and testimonials on our website, AetherX.co.
And for our announcements this morning, there we go, just getting it pulled up. Okay, so for AetherX.co, we do have some new products coming in that are going to be here in the next couple of days. We do have a collagen RAYD8 REGEN enhanced mask that is coming in. So again, a very popular item for ladies who are looking to work in improving the skin on their face. So that was actually from my partner Breanne. She was suggesting this particular product, and I said, okay, well, we can put it downstairs and let it be charged up with RAYD8 REGEN, and then we can put it up on the website. So that'll be up here in the next couple of days. I'm also working on the repellent spray. So there is a source charged spray that I'm working on. It's still kind of in the works. It's still in the prototype stage, but should be ready hopefully pretty soon. I'm going to have it ready by the end of March, or end of March. I don't even know what month I'm in. The end of May or early June. Also going to be having what's known as the light mandala, or LED light mandala. That is going to be similar to a wall array, but it's going to have an LED strip around it that is going to be source charged and filled with transcendental codes. And that will also help with powerful healing of the space and of yourself. So that will be coming here very soon as well too. I have a couple other new products that are in the works, but our newest products right now will be the brand new Taurus sleeping kit. Okay, so let's go down here. This is the Taurus bed sleeping kit that is available right now. We also have the new RAYD8 REGEN charged bracelets. I'm wearing a couple, but that's not the right arm. You can tell I'm half asleep this morning. Okay, here it is. Wait, that's your watch. Oh, yeah. Right. Still half asleep this morning. So these are the bracelets right here. Okay, so they feel really good. Putting them on, charging up. Again, we leave them on downstairs with RAYD8 REGEN for about 1 to 2 days. And then we start making them available after that. Like I said, once RAYD8 REGEN energy is fused in here, it lasts a very, very long time, well within the millions of years, because these are gemstones, these are minerals, and they hold the longest charge that just goes on for millions of years. It's a wonderful thing. So that is AetherX.co. We have 20% off all products store-wide right now. And Radiateapp.com, like I said, it is now available on the Apple Store and Google Play. We are currently in the works of developing the browser app. The browser app should be ready around the time of June, probably say early to mid-June. And I'll be keeping everybody updated. Just good to go to the sign up form here on the bottom of the page, and you can keep updated on all of the latest happenings regarding the browser app and anything else that's coming down the pipe. RAYD8 REGEN Center. So as I've talked about, this is the technology. This is our industrial strength technology. This is where you can actually go to start a regen center as well too. Technically, you're basically licensing the software, the video software, for RAYD8 REGEN and applying it into your own business, be it a health center, a wellness center, a healing center, etc. And if you are interested, just go to the nav bar, see Start a Regen Center, and that will help you along your journey. If you are in Langley, BC, or if you're on the Lower Mainland of BC and want to come in and actually experience the RAYD8 REGEN technology, because like I said, it is the most powerful of the RAYD8 technology. It is our industrial strength technology. Then you can book a session online here through our center. For first-time clients, you get a 1-hour free session. For returning clients, you can book your next RAYD8 REGEN session. For returning clients also, if you have referrals, that will give you 1 hour free too as well. We also have monthly packages as well too, where you can purchase a 4-hour, 8-hour, 16-hour, and 24-hour, right? So 4 hours for $75, 8 hours for $140, 16 hours for $275, and 24 hours for $495. So you can check that out on RAYD8REGEN.com. Finally, there is the AetherX Academy. Okay, so we are currently starting the next semester, but it is basically it's in the on-demand phase, which means you can basically sign up at any particular time, and you can go at your own pace with the modules that are contained in the course. There are 6 modules, and basically that includes 6 monthly payments. After the 6 monthly payments, you'll be able to get all content on the website for free afterwards. So Kundalini activation, chakra and subtle body science, spirit healing power, spirit communication, emotional mental liberation, resonant dowsing, enhanced manifestation, environmental healing, right? There's a whole bunch of great information that is contained in all 6 months of this particular course, because I have not touched on these through YouTube before. So again, check this out. It's going to be amazing. I already have quite a few students that have already signed up. And I basically come on a monthly basis to do reviews of the modules. I have teachers and coaches that are also working with weekly classes for the students as well. We also have a Telegram support group. So it's a very exciting course, and I urge you to check it out. Again, it's AetherXAcademy.com. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with today's broadcast. Again, hope you're all doing good on this Thursday morning. Well, Thursday morning where I am. So, starting off with some tarot, firstly with Canada and then with the United States. So I was kind of looking around this morning, and kind of around the rumor mill, so to speak, is that there's a lot more increase in people going to Ontario, specifically going to Ottawa, and ready to protest. There's also protests happening in other major cities around Canada. And what they are rumored to do is that the quote-unquote Castro government, that's basically what I'll call them, are basically trying to use military force to break up these protests, to break up these particular campaigns that are taking place. And so they were telling the military to break up the crowds, and they refused to do it, said, no, we're not going to do it. And they're trying to rewrite the legislature in order for the military to follow their orders, right? To try and break up these crowds. Now, when you see this, of course, we can say, oh, that's dictatorship. It's dictatorship. You're right. It is. It certainly is. But this is showing how absolutely terrified they are of people. They are so absolutely scared. They are so absolutely terrified. And it's very similar to what's going to be happening in the United States and many other different countries across the planet very, very soon, if not already, right? They are so absolutely terrified of the people that they have to try to rewrite the Constitution. And whenever that happens, you know they're on their last legs. You know they're about to die, basically, right? And no one will ever follow their new rewrites, right? If they ever try to rewrite a constitution, rewrite a charter, no one ever follows that, right? Military will not follow that because they have taken an oath, right? Every branch of the systems that they so-called govern are basically going to turn against them. And this is kind of like looking at Julius Caesar when his people turned against him. This is exactly what's happening with Canada. I feel this is exactly what's going to happen with the US. This is probably going to happen with many different countries, is these dictators will basically have their own people turning against them. And that's kind of the feeling I'm getting here, just before getting to the cards. But this is what I was seeing today, just pertaining to that. What is Canada going through? Because I'm going to look at the US afterwards. What is Canada going through right now with its military? What are the steps ahead? What is the momentum ahead for Canada with all of this nonsense that's going on pertaining to them trying to break up protests with military force, right? So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that. I was looking at that this morning, like, oh my God, they are just so on their last legs. They're just so ready to die, right? We could even say that these are the last days. And by the last days, what that means is that we're just looking at the last days of this particular government. We're looking at the last days of this particular screwball of an authority oligarchs, you know, orders, secret societies, etc. You are just watching them so crippled, so afraid. They are so terrified. You can just see it in these politicians. You can see it in these authority figures. They are sweating bullets right now. They are so sweating bullets, and they're just on the edge. Like, what's that? What's that? What's that? Right. It's as soon as they hear a crack of a twig, they're just on edge. The people are just ready to overthrow them. And I think that's where we're getting to the point now. So let's take a look at Canada and seeing in that sense about this military force action and what is going to happen pertaining to the military and the people. What is the military going to do regarding the people? And what can we see in the momentum ahead for this, for Canada? Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so it's kind of like I talked about. We're kind of in the red heat right now. We're on a very strong, intense period, right? Authority is basically trying to get their way. Authority is basically trying to boss around the military, boss around police, boss around any particular type of enforcement that they can get their hands on. But no, it's not going to succeed at all. They are not going to be able to coerce the military whatsoever. As like I said, the military is kind of lying in wait, and the last thing they're going to do is follow the orders of a patsy dictator. Right? So that's not what I'm getting here. This is kind of feeling like a sign of how much you could say non-compliance. Right. So when I'm looking at the idea of the Queen of Wands here, right, she has fire, but at the same time, that fire is not going to serve the corrupt. Right? It is going to lead into a complete and total refusal. So the past here, again, like I said, this is part of the idea of the higher ups trying to assert their authority, trying to rewrite things, rewrite legislature, and try to say, oh no, these people are protesting. These people are getting on our nerves. Oh, this can't happen. We need to get the military in. We need to break them up and all that, right? So like I said, this is all part of the, right? Betrayal, backstabbing, relating to all of the systems that they are trying to govern, and it's going to turn back against them. They're trying to bring all these things out, and it's like all of the weapons are now turning back against them. Okay, this is going to be very, very interesting. This is going to be leading to a culmination very soon. This may be part of this major event that we're talking about this summer. Again, we don't know exactly if this is an isolated area or something isolated, or if it's something that's worldwide. Some sort of major event that's taking place. Maybe it's the idea of the coup d'etat, of the idea of the world's militaries turning against these corrupt authority figures. But it looks like something is about to culminate very, very soon, right? This is representing the idea of endings. This is representing the idea of fulfillment. Because what I can basically say is that the military will never, ever turn on the people. They would be violating their oaths. They would be violating everything that they stand for if they ever tried to turn on people, if they ever tried to break up riots, or not riots, protests, friendly protests, right, and nonviolent protests. They would never do that. That would violate everything that they stand for. And so basically they're trying to rewrite legislative and in garbled talk, basically saying, oh, we can basically apply the military anytime we want for any reason we desire. Right. And sorry, but the military is not going to fall for that. No one's going to fall for that. It does not matter what you write with the pen, right? They will always stick with the original Constitution. They will always stick with the original charter, and they will never deviate from that. So like I said, the military has been just kind of waiting in the bushes for them to make a very stupid move. And this looks like a very, very stupid move. So like I said, I think we're going to see the culmination of a coup d'etat here very, very shortly. So basically, it shows me here, there's a big surprise waiting. There's a very, very big surprise waiting that is in the wings, and it's about to pounce. And again, that may be in relationship to what we're seeing here with the fulfillment, with the world card, right? And so again, we're seeing sneakiness. We're seeing unjust behavior. We're seeing manipulation. We're seeing corruption to the greatest degree. If I add another card here. Okay. But it looks like there's going to be a change in leadership here very soon for Canada. This doesn't feel like this whole three-ring circus is going to be staying around too much longer. There's going to be some big changes taking place in Canada. I think there's going to be some changes materialistically that are going to be taking place. So if some people are concerned of saying, oh, well, they're going to try and get the military involved while we're doing peaceful protests. No, because you'll notice that especially with a lot of these peaceful protests, military people are involved, right? You have military officers standing together with these peaceful protesters, and military will not attack any of their own, right? So that again is a sign of just very, very desperate, corrupt officials. That is a sign of dark forces that are just on their last legs. Like I said, they're just kind of in bed in life support and just ready to kind of keel over and die. That's basically where they are right now. So that's what I'm getting here pertaining to this whole situation with Canada. Again, just what I was discovering this morning with that, and just wanted to check that out. So if you guys hear anything like that as well too, where they think that they're going to try and get military to break up peaceful protest, it's not going to happen, right? They will not abide corrupt law, because this is, again, if they can't see that this is dictatorship rule, I don't know what else to say about that. So again, there is going to be a lot of changing of the guard that will be taking place here very, very soon. Again, if you see the world card, we're going to see something culminate here very quick, and I think it lines up perfectly with this coming summer, with what we're talking about with this major event, whatever it may be. All right, so second reading we're going to do right now is we're going to look at the United States. We're going to see the momentum ahead for the United States. So same thing, right? Peaceful protests happening in the U.S. What is the current situation with the U.S. military pertaining to what is happening there at home within their own country, and what is the momentum ahead with that? Right, let's take a look at that. Okay, so, all right, well, it looks like they're getting ready for a coup d'etat here very quickly as well, too, okay? So the U.S. military, again, will not in any way turn against their people. They are very much together with their people. They are never going to do the dirty or deeds pertaining to their authority figures, or so-called authority figures, who they know is not really their true authority. Many of them are pretty much in allegiance with Trump. They're not in allegiance with Biden whatsoever, right? But they basically know what's going on. They're very much aware. They've been watching this whole situation, right? This is basically telling me that they're very aware of what the plans are going to be relating to the B administration, or let's call it the capital B administration. They're very much aware, but like I said, they're just kind of upside down. They're just kind of waiting it out. Like I said, they're in the bushes. They're waiting for the stupid move, right? And it looks like that stupid move is not going to be too far away. Again, we can say that the B administration has been poisoning the country. They've been putting nothing but ridiculous policies and procedures together. I think just in, what was it? I can't remember the exact state, but they were basically trying to put like little boys and little girls' bathrooms together as one, like a unisex bathroom. They were trying to get, again, little boys to join in on girls' sports and stuff like that. It's so ridiculous. It's unbelievably ridiculous, right? So again, people are just getting weighed down by all this stupidity. They're getting weighed down by this entire administration, but it needs to happen. That's exactly what it needs to happen. Like I said, we need to get this really, really heavy dose of deceit, this heavy, heavy dose of manipulation, this heavy dose of corruption, so that things like this can never happen again. This is all part of a balancing act that's taking place. So with the military, in that sense, it feels like there's going to be some particular event that is going to come forward where they are going to strike. And to me, this here feels like the old regime going up in flames, right? This feels like, in that sense, that they're going to basically turn their attention to these authority figures and blast, boom. There is going to be a complete and total dismantling of it. The summer is going to be very, very interesting. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of interesting events taking place that I feel is going to lead to imminent dismantling of the system altogether, especially we're getting closer to the time of election. I think the election will still play itself out pertaining to its time frame, but there's going to be a lot of action taking place either in front or behind the scenes to basically dismantle this old guard, this old regime, the corrupt. So U.S. kind of feels very similar to Canada. It just feels like military will not turn on its people. Canadian military will not turn on its people. And that's what I think that the U.S. will basically try to bring more of a appearance of that and say, oh, if you don't follow suit, we'll bring the military out and we'll keep you people under control. And no. So that may be the stupid move. Like I said, they're just waiting for the stupid move to pounce on the king. All right. So I just wanted to look into that first and foremost. Now we're going to go ahead and go into questions with everybody. So again, good morning and afternoon and evening, everybody. So if you do have questions that you want to make priority, you can leave a donation, and I'll be going to the donation-based questions first. And then after that, just going up and down the list. Okay, so we just have one donation here from Demi. Hello, Demi. Okay, so hi, Brad. Good. I am working a lot, and I have a question. Can you please go over ground crew's mission? I recently found out I'm ground crew. What are our gifts and our mission? Thank you. It really is to help people. It's to help people in the unique ways that you can. Right? Because I have mentioned that about the nature of the ground crew. Well, the ground crew here is to, like I said, live their life, but at the same time, they're working to help others. But firstly, you have to get yourself in order. This is what I've always said. Get yourself in order first. Look at all these things that are clamoring your attention. Look at all these things that are causing a significant amount of tension within yourself. Your gift in that sense, and I really don't call them gifts, right? I don't look at the idea of you being an empath a gift. I really don't look into the idea of having telepathy as a gift. I don't really look at all these things. These are abilities, right? Gifts in that sense are very polarizing. Right? Because I could say something's a gift and a blessing, or I could say that something's a curse and a hex, right? As long as I say something's a gift, then there's a polarity there that's telling me it's an abomination. It's a curse, okay? So I don't look at the idea of what you naturally possess as a gift. I just don't see it that way. I never really have, right? I had people like, oh, Brad, what are my gifts? What are my gifts? Like, guys, these aren't gifts. You can return gifts, okay? That's not what this is. These are abilities of yourself. So what does the ground crew that has pertaining to abilities? Pretty much anything that you can think of, right? So like the whole idea, the ability of being a good listener, there is a great ability, not a gift, right? The ability to listen is strong. The ability to feel the emotions within others, your empathic connection is strong. There are those in that sense who are very highly visual, who are able to see things prior to them taking place, being able to see manifestations before they arrive, right? There's an ability, okay? People in that sense who are able to hear their own guides, hear beings of the spirit world, right? Their clairaudience, for example. There is an ability, okay? All of these are abilities, what you would refer to quite commonly as siddhas or siddhis in that way, which basically represent psychic prowess, right? So you have prowesses. Some of us have prowesses, but the whole idea is that we don't really use it properly. We're too enamored with our own lives, and we're too enamored with our own little niche, with our own little clique, with our own little family unit, and we don't spread that out. And this is basically what's being said, is that work with yourself, go within, start clearing away all these things that are preventing you from following your heart, from doing what you're here to do. And then spread yourself out, spread your wings, right? You have these natural abilities with you, these prowesses, yes, not gifts, not that I refer to them as that, but you have this prowess. And how many people are you helping? What are you doing to work with your community? Are you helping people out? Are you offering yourself? Do you have an open door that people can come to and start talking, right? And listening to them and seeing what you can do to help, right? We're not talking about you having to be some world leader or political leader or environmental leader or anything of that nature. It's just that you're making yourself available for people, right? You're going through your challenges, but you know how to resolve them, right? Even though you have some challenges, you're tripping over your own feet, you know how to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and get back into the work that you're here to do, okay? So the ground crew is exactly that. They're helping on the ground. They're helping people who are frantic, who are hurt, who are just completely riddled with suffering. And we're doing our best to help them along, to helping with their suffering because we can relate to the suffering that they've had. We've gone through that. It's like me, I've had a lot of suffering in my past, and I've been diligent in being able to work in harmonizing that. So Brad, do you still suffer nowadays? No. All of that aspect to what I would refer to as suffering has been long gone. And what I'm doing is just keeping my door open. What I'm doing is, again, doing broadcasts like this. What I'm doing is creating something like AetherX, creating something like RAYD8 that are going to help thousands and thousands and thousands of people, which it already is starting to do. So if I'm using my own example as a ground crew member, I had to firstly get my own stuff together. I had to bring it into harmony, had to bring it into letting spirit take care of it. Like Adronis would say, right? You come here, you're in stillness, you're in silence, and you're now in surrender because you're bringing spirit in. Spirit takes care of it all. Leave it to God, right? Rather than trying to use human conditions and using human power, which really has no power at all, to resolve these situations, it's not going to be done, right? You think it's going to be done, and then it comes back again. If you're trying to use human power to resolve your own issues, the issues are just going to return again. And I had to learn that myself because that's how I started. I tried doing a logical approach to a lot of these issues, and they would be gone for a few days, and then they would come back again. All right, and this is before I was really going a lot more deeper into spirit. When I started going a lot more deeper into spirit, which is probably around 2013, 2014, around there, that's when I saw the power of this. Rather than trying to rely on the ego to resolve your frustrations, to resolve your suffering, can't be done, right? It's just going to keep coming back. It's like you push it to a side, but it's like it's a slime that just keeps coming back and then just forms itself back into you again. So what we have to do as a ground crew member in this form of rhetoric is that you're learning to clean yourself. You have to get yourself cleaned up, right? You have to learn from these situations that have been filled with suffering and hardship, and you need to simply be here, be in the center, right? Get into the stillness, get into the silence, bring spirit in, follow the breath. That's all you really need to do. Just follow the breath as you breathe in, breathe out, be aware of your body, be aware of your breath. Get yourself into that stimulation of the parasympathetic nervous system. Get yourself in the stimulation of the vagus nerve, of the dorsal-vagal complex. Get yourself stimulated to be in calmness, not to be frantic, not to be hyperventilating, right? And constantly breathing in and out through the mouth, because that is only going to cause much more of an emotional rise. That's going to cause a sympathetic burst. We don't want that. We want to go into the parasympathetic. And that is where you're now getting calm, getting relaxed, getting centered, and you just tune in here. You tune in right to the heart, right? And you let spirit in. It's like the exercises that I've given constantly through webcasts in the past, is you're opening up the heart and you're letting the heart shine, let spirit in. And with spirit in, you're looking at all of these frustrations, you're looking at all of these tensions, and you're just seeing them dissolve. Can I let them go? Can I let them go? Yes. I give them to spirit. They are gone. And here's the good news is they stay gone. Once you give it to spirit, it returns back into the ethers. The ethers absorb it, and it returns back into the natural order of the ether, right? Which again, we have no image, we have no form to acknowledge the existence of the ether, but nonetheless, it is there, right? So it is returning back into the infinite capacitance to which the ether itself represents. It is with spirit, and now you feel completely and totally free from that tension. Now that we're doing that work a lot more, we can now make ourselves available to others. We had to clean ourselves up. You can't just be dirty and filthy and feeling like everything is triggering you, and at the same time trying to expect to help others, because all they're going to do is trigger you. And then you're going to become emotionally compromised, and you're not going to be the best example of someone who can help them out, right? You have to resolve your triggers. You have to resolve the very things that are causing you to react, and letting all of that go, okay? That's really what we're here to do as the ground crew. All right, so Demi, thank you very much for your question. Okay, this one here is from Key. Hello, Key. Key said, I think it's Key or Key L or Key. I guess it's Key. I'll call you Key, whatever. Okay, question is, do elections get rigged? Did Biden and recently Mayor of London Con go on through elections? Yes, of course. Absolutely, guys. Everything that's taking place right now relating to authority figures, and this is by design. Okay, this is by design. I'm referring to by divine design. Okay, you have to get these riffraff people in power because you have to see what they're all about, because they are basically on a deadline. And that is exactly why they're pumping out all of this nonsense. It's exactly why they're pumping out all of this manipulation garbage. It's exactly why they're pumping out all of this nonsense that people are just looking at and saying, what the hell? What is all this? It's a contracting time. It really is. Because this is now starting to come out at face value towards everybody to say, this is not at all how we want our country. This is not at all how we want the world. And so in order for this to change, people have to come together. Through tragedy comes unity, right? That really is the formula that's going on here. So yes, elections get rigged. I'm pretty sure that should be well known by now, right? We've already seen a lot of tampering of the systems. We've already seen a lot of tampering of the elections. Guys, elections themselves, from the very get-go of their inception, since the time of these implementations of the corrupt, have been rigged, right? This is all about rig. This is all about the idea that you really just have a two-party choice or a three-party choice, and that's it, right? Most of the time it's two-party. And that, again, is nothing but an illusion. The idea of elections themselves have been nothing but illusion. But what a lot of the counter forces is doing is they're taking the games of the corrupt and they're turning it back upon themselves, right? So that when they have an election, in that sense, it gets overturned. It's exactly how Trump was able to come into power back in 2016, right? He was able to come into power because they took their little plan, they turned it on itself, right? And he was able to get in. But like I said, there's a divine design here relating to the appointed leaders on the planet here for them to basically make an ass of themselves, right? It's almost like a surrender deal. That's kind of what it feels like, right? All of these things, nothing is natural. This is why I keep calling it a three-ring circus, because nothing that you would see in politics, nothing that you could see in a lot of these common systems makes any sense. It doesn't. It just makes no sense at all. And even in the past, even though certain things were rigged, there was still some sensical idea to it. But there's nothing of that now. And this is me basically feeling that, like, what's happening with a lot of these quote unquote appointed leaders is that they're all just running a Hollywood script. This is all just a Hollywood script, and it's getting them to make like complete and total idiots, complete and total dunderheads, complete and total dunces, right? Where they're basically just revealing all of their world plans for domination on the air, publicly, okay? And that was the thing that they would never, ever, ever try to do. Yet they're doing it. They're basically talking about new world orders, and they're talking about military enforcement and martial law, and that we are the trustees of the planet, and that it all falls to us. Like, everything that has meant to be behind the scenes has now just come out in front of the scenes. And why is that? Because I feel like all of them are already defeated. And this is what I've talked about before. They're already beaten, but they have to play this charade to awaken the people, because the priority to move forward is to get the majority of people aware of the nonsense plans that they have had over centuries and many millennia, to actually expose this on the airwaves, to expose this in front of the scenes. It's part of a magic ritual. It's part of a coming of age ceremony. This is why I say I feel like they're already defeated. I feel like, again, they basically get middle management in there to make it feel like they're actually doing something that represents pushing forward of their plans. But really all it calculates down to through the divine plan is seeing exactly how corrupt these officials are, so that people can stand up and say, no, we do not want this, and we are going to retaliate against it. And there you go. And it's not going to lead to bloodshed. It's going to lead to the idea of people just standing their ground, right? So yes, elections have certainly been rigged. Biden and pretty much all the major world leaders here in that sense have come in through rigged elections, right? And it was all part of that time between 2020 and 2024 That has certainly been the plan. This has, again, been kind of like, as I've said, the span of change. The span of change is a very, very dark time. It's a very dark time. It's very much contrived with leaders who are all about, again, they're middle management. They don't really know the higher up plan, right? They basically are put into place. They're basically being told what to do, and they put it with all seriousness and thinking that they are trying to make a difference in the world, and that they don't realize that what they're doing is just next of kin to dictatorships. They don't even know that they're doing that, right? Either that or they do know, and they're all for it. But I think it's more the former than the latter. So everything that's taking place right now, guys, is what I've said so many times. None of it is real. None of it's real. It's a three-ring circus. It's a show. It's something that is much more of a show for, you could call it the normies, right? The sheeple, the normies in that sense, trying to wake them up. People who are already awake, then basically all you have to do is just is working together with people, whether that's in front of the scenes or whether that's behind the scenes, whether that's putting your light, putting your love, putting your compassion on the people who cannot yet see, right? You can do that from the comfort of your own bedroom. Whatever you decide to do. Some people want to go out and they want to talk, then do it. Some people want to do it behind the scenes, then do it, right? People who are already awake, just spread your love to the entire planet. That's all you got to do. Your thought into action. I'm going to see all these people who are still struggling, and I'm going to give them my love. It's like what I was doing the other week before, where we were doing that meditation, where we were putting our heart center here, and we were shining it upon the people, right? Shining it upon the people, shining it on maybe a person that you know is going through a very, very hard time, but you're just escalating it to the next degree, right? You're shining it upon the entire population, right? You can do that too. So it's all just about the idea of that this three-ring circus really is for the people who are still snoozing in their beds, and it's going to get louder, and it's going to get louder, and it's going to get louder and louder and louder until it's almost like a sonic boom. And then people are going to be jolted out of their sleep. As Jesus would say, the dead are going to be raised, because basically those people are dead, right? They are spiritually dead, okay? They are basically dead to their own nature. And the only thing they're alive to is the materialistic plane. But that's not even a living state. That's basically being catatonic. That's being comatose, because you do not know your heart. You do not know your spirit. And if you do not know that, then you're basically dead, right? So basically what all of this jolting is attempting to do is to raise the dead, is to wake up the sleepers, to get them up, and to see exactly everything that they have blindly followed through their world has been nothing but a lie, has been nothing but a charade, has been nothing but a fallacy, right? And they have to realize that. And this is where people are going to go into panic mode, and people are going to start getting frustrated. And that's where the ground crew comes in, right? The ground crew are the ones who are already wide awake. They now see, they have risen from the dead. I had to rise from the dead, right? So they have risen from the dead, and they are now alive, because they feel their hearts, they feel themselves, they feel their soul, and they are spreading that love, and they are spreading that compassion. They are being an ear to hear. They are being an eye to perceive, and they are being a voice to share wisdom. That's the key. All right. So Key, thank you very much for your question. Okay. Sorry, I missed Eve's question here. So Eve says, greetings, Brad and everyone. Question, when will less than 5 days working week, proper parental leave, and other family human-friendly social policies start becoming the norm globally? Not for a while yet. Okay. In order for all that stuff to happen, you got to get the riffraff out of the whole situation pertaining to authority, okay? Because that is exactly what they don't want, okay? When you start to see a lot of that going, most importantly, guys, the whole idea, and here's a very important part, do not rely on policies to feel like that is what's going to bring you joy in life, okay? That's a trap. And even when there's a lot of that riffraff that are getting out of office, if you are relying upon some type of policy, you might as well be waiting to win the lottery. Okay? That's not the way to live. The whole idea is run your life yourself. So if I only want to work 2 or 3 days a week, then I may want to become an entrepreneur. I may want to look into entrepreneurial work and doing something maybe only 2 or 3 days a week and maybe working 5 or 6 hours per day. I may want to look into something where I can basically, okay, maybe less than 20 hours a week, I can do that and I can spend more time with family. Great. So are you going to rely upon the government to do that for you? Or are you going to rely that on you to do that for you? Okay. If it's the former, where it's the government, then you're basically still asleep to the idea of the government, right? You're still relying on some type of authority to say, okay, ding, 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 go ahead and just work for 15 hours a week, 20 hours a week, and that's it. Oh, okay, thank you so much, Master. Thank you so much, Mr. Authority. I really appreciate it. Then you're still hooked. You're still hooked into the world. You're still plugged in, right? What I'm saying here is that take the lead of your own life. Lead the dance, right? Are we just going to be in the dance hall where we're just following every single dancer, right? Okay, well, you have to lead. You have to lead. Why aren't you leading? Oh, no, just lead. You're just dancing along with them, and they have to lead, and they have to guide your feet. You got to get out of that mentality. Got to get out of that attitude of thinking that some type of authority is going to try and make your life better. If you still see that, you're missing the entire point of what's going on here, right? The whole idea is that you need to lead the dance of your life. You do not put it into an authority's hands. You do not put it into government's hands. You do not put it into any particular type of so-called leader or expert's hands. You don't go on here and thinking that some expert on YouTube is going to tell me how to live my life. You have to think for yourself. You have to feel for yourself. And if you feel that you're doing work that is basically taking up all of your time, guess who is volunteering to do all of that work that is 40 hours a week or more? It's you. It's not your boss. It's not your coworkers. At any time, you can leave that work. At any time, something can shift. You are volunteering to make yourself miserable. This all comes down to you, right? We think that all the circumstances and everybody else is basically what's causing me to fall apart here and it's all everybody else's fault. No, because basically if I look at that mentality, that's basically telling me that you're playing a victim. And as long as you play a victim, you're the one who's running that obstacle course. You're the one who's paddling that boat. You're the one that's moving towards that current of victimhood. At any particular time, you can change anything, right? You have to take the lead of the dance of your own life. Do not rely on government. It does not matter if the government changes. Yes, there's going to be a lot of good things. They're going to be put into policies, but that doesn't matter. See that as something that is a grain of salt. I lead my life, right? If I'm basically doing my work right here and I need to report to somebody or I need to wait till some politician tells me that I can do this or I can do that, then like I said, I'm just back on the clock. I'm back on the sleeper clock again. You need to learn to let that go and work together with yourself in leading your own dance. I can't emphasize that enough, okay? So Eve, a lot of the things that you're asking for can already be done through yourself right now. Stop worrying about what other people need to go through, what all 8 billion people on this planet need to go through so that it becomes the norm globally. You're waiting for everybody else to get this. It's not your problem. You're wasting your time. Work on yourself. Do not concern about social policies. Do not concern about other policies or procedures that may be written in, because what are you doing right now? Right? Maybe I'm suffering right now. Maybe I'm hurt right now. And that's what needs to be addressed. Can you lead your own dance and stop worrying about what other people need to go through the world? You are not responsible for their lives. Stop trying to make the earth about you. Right? That's one of the greatest lessons on this planet right now, is so many people want to put their own ideas, their own opinions, and make it the gospel. Oh, well, we should do this, and this is exactly how it should be done for everybody. No, it's not up to you. Are you a politician? Are you a leader? Are you basically governing billions of people? No. Then why go into this nonsense? about what you feel is best for 7 or 8 billion people. It's not your business. It's not your work. It's not your job. Only thing you have to do is work with yourself. Lead your own dance. As you're leading your own dance, other wonderful dancers are going to come to you, and you're going to feel so joyous because you'll take turns. They'll lead for a bit, then you'll lead for a bit. And they'll lead for a bit, and you'll lead for a bit. And that is the harmony in between the dance. Work with your own dance. Don't concern about what's best for the world. It's not up to you to decide. It's not up to you to enforce. It's not up to you to apply it. Work with your own life. Be in your own world. Okay? What I've shared with you, Eve, I've shared with many others over the years. And it's no different. So please consider that. All right? Thank you very much. All right, let's go down here a bit more. Okay. Okay. So I'm basically wanting to stick with some questions that are a little bit more current eventish, guys, right? This is the signposts. Okay, so signposts, we're kind of looking at things that are a little bit more current event-like. And I appreciate your questions, but like I said, when there's things that are a little bit more about dark beings and pre-birth planning and pre-incarnation and stuff, that just doesn't belong in the signposts, okay? That is for wisdom transmissions. So those are on Wednesdays, okay? Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Please tune into that, okay? This one is more of a current events type of webcast, okay? So I'm just kind of looking for questions that are more current eventish, okay? So let's go down here a bit. Okay, this one is kind of current eventish, so I guess I'll take it. Is HARP still in use? If so, when do you see it gone? HARP is still in use, and it's not going anywhere, okay? But we'll take a look at that because HARP in that sense is many different technologies. It's something that is a platform on the ground, and it's something that is a platform in the orbit as well too. But let's take a look through the cards of what the cards have to say about the HARP technology right now in general. What is the future of the HARP technology, and what is the HARP technology currently doing on the planet? Okay, let's take a look and see. Okay. It feels like it has changed hands, okay? And I feel like it's changed hands for a while now, okay? So it's basically been shifted. It was once in the arrangement of the dark cult, but it feels like it's much more in the arrangement now of the counterforces, okay? It's been moved into a better authority that is managing it altogether. It feels like as far as the dark cult is concerned, they have been completely and totally denied to this technology, but they still have other similar forms of technology, quite commonly with satellites, right? And I've talked about this before as well too. HARP itself, mainly, particularly with what we would know as the facility in Alaska, is pretty much counterforce property, okay? This is basically what, if we go back years to where California had the droughts, it was when the Counterforce Alliances basically had possession of the Alaskan HARP facility that they were actually sending rain to California to actually get the rain to come in because California was in such a horrible drought. I did readings back then, and I said, yeah, that's exactly what's happened. It feels like this alliance, I didn't have the Counterforce name for them at the time, but I basically said this alliance looks like it's gotten a hold of HARP, and it was actually sending rain clouds down to California to saturate California, okay? And it's been doing the same thing with many other different areas of the planet that has basically been attacked. It's, like I said, there's been weather modification wars taking place because there's a lot more than just HARP that is used to control weather. But HARP, again, is primarily, generally, is in the hands of the counterforces, okay? So this is representing the past. Like I said, this is telling me this has switched gears. It has moved away from weaponization. It's still under military control, but it's being used to basically thwart, certain forms of dark force agendas and helping to bring weather modification balancing to areas of the planet that require it. Okay. So they're basically in control. They basically have access to the HARP facilities. I think there's another one in Sweden or Norway, right? They also have control of that one too. So what I'm seeing here is the majority of the HARP facilities here on the planet. And this is moving forward in the right way too, right? So we're moving forward towards a golden dawn where the idea of HARP can be used as a beneficial technology to help the planet, because HARP is basically based on the patents of Nikola Tesla, working with scalar. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. You can use scalar for the most tremendous, wonderful benefits on the planet to aid it, or you can weaponize it and it can destroy a planet, right? But the feeling that I'm getting here is that this is also, it feels like it also has some off-world connections to it as well too. And here's a big confirmation. There's off-world assistance, there's off-world jurisdiction. They are only able to use it based on their permission. So this to me almost feels like the human guardians. This feels like, again, off-world personnel that are basically instructing them when it can be used, right? There's a lot of clamps on this sophisticated technology, right? A lot of these, you could call it above top secret or ATS technologies. There's a very big clamp on them. And a lot of off-worlders are basically holding authority, holding the key and say, here's the key. You can use it, and this is what you're going to use HARP for, right? So it feels like a lot of the counter forces here on the ground are receiving orders from off-worlders, okay? And off-worlders who are trying to make Earth restored back into betterment, right? So as far as HARP is concerned, dark forces don't have control of it anymore. It is completely in the counter forces' hands, and I've known this for a couple of years already. But again, we just did an update on the reading, and it's the exact same thing as I've been getting for years regarding that. HARP is in the possession of the counter forces. It is not in the possession of the dark forces, okay? And it will be used when it needs to be used to help balance things out or to thwart certain plans that corrupts are trying to do. All right. Thank you, Julie, for your question. Okay, let's go down to, I'm just kind of reading the questions first. I just want to make sure, again, these are kind of current event-ish like questions. Okay. Okay, I think this will be all right. This one here is from Z-Man. Z-Man says, hi, Brad. With all of the attacks, social engineering, and mass immigration in Western cultures, attempting to destroy them, will there be a reversal of this, or what will the future be for them? That's exactly what's happening right now, right? Mass immigration, social engineering. Like I said, guys, we have to get a sample of what a lot of the corrupts want you to see, what they basically are trying to bring out with their plans. But like I said, it's only going to go so far. It has a glass ceiling, right? It goes up certain far. Okay, we're getting some dosages of this. We're getting some samples of this. Bonk. Oh, well, that's as far as it can go. And then reversal happens, right? So when it hits the glass ceiling, it's kind of like a boiling point, right? The boiling point hits the glass ceiling, bonk, and now reversal starts to happen. So it's kind of like you're looking at these cubes of intention plans of the corrupt. Corrupt plans are contained in cubes. Once that liquid that starts filling the cube starts boiling over and gets violent, boom, glass ceiling hits, psh, cube shatters, and everything that represented that plan is demolished, okay? So I think we're getting close to that glass ceiling of it hitting, pertaining to social engineering, mass immigration, right? Again, trying to make everybody non-binary, right? Putting a lot of immigrants into it just to cause chaos, right? To basically replace jobs. It's all just, like I said, it's a three-ring circus, but again, it all represents everything that is complete and total opposite to natural living. And it's being shown to people. I said, is this how you want your world? Do you want your world like this? Take a look at what's happening inside this cube. Look at the liquid that's coming in, that corrupt kind of tar-like liquid. But then it starts boiling over, and it boils over to the point where it hits the glass ceiling, and the cube shatters. Because people say, no, we don't want that. No, we don't want that. No, we don't want it. And guys, they have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of plans. This is not just, oh, they got about 5 or 6 plans, and that's it. No, they have thousands of plans. And that's kind of like what we're seeing right now. There's just thousands of events taking place upon the planet that we can't possibly even keep up with. It basically just gets wind of us, and we said, no, I don't want that, gone. Psh, shatter, shatter, shatter. There's small cubes and there's big cubes, okay? But they're all contained. The reason why I'm using a cube analogy is that they cannot move beyond the cube. The cube in that sense will not stretch across the entire planet. It may be a big cube, but it's still a container, and it can still shatter, and it's full of edges, it's full of sides, it's full of limitations, and that bursts because these are all ego cubes. These are cubes of the ego. It's a collective ego. It's the Earth's own collective ego basically being completely and totally bred out of her. And that is exactly why we have secret societies. That is exactly why we have oligarchs. We have all of this. This is all part of the Earth transitioning out of her ego. And what she becomes when she transitions out of her ego, she is going to become a heavenly world, right? But what you're seeing here as part of the collective is the Earth's ego. She has an ego, right? If she didn't have an ego, we would not have any of this. We would not have these oligarchs. We would not even be aligned into the way that we are aligned right now. If there was no collective ego on the planet, there is a collective ego. And Mother Earth does have a dark side, just like we do, okay? As above, so below. As within, so without. We have an ego, the Mother has an ego, okay? And that again represents all of these cubes. They're like these little splinters of the mind that represent these shadows being cast over. And her immune system is helping her to break these down, to break down this ego, because as Adronis was saying the other day, there have been 123 other civilizations here on this planet, all leaving behind their pain, their suffering, their hurt. Even though they bring about their reward and their achievements and their goodness, there is also the hurt, there is also the pain. That stays with the Earth, and she absorbs that. She absorbs everything with us. That's exactly why we've had all of these shifts taking place on the planet. It really is our own collective reflection being brought forward through an Earth ego that is shattering. And we're shattering her ego, right? And helping her along to move up into a higher plateau of existence, okay? That's what's taking place here. So yes, there's attacks of social engineering and mass immigration, and will there be a reversal? Absolutely, because we're the ones that are reversing it. Guys, we are the immune system. Everything goes through the people. Nothing holds a greater transformation of resolve than ourselves. We're the ones that we have been waiting for, right? You guys have heard all this before. So again, everything that you know is corrupt, is tainted, is full of that manipulation, is going to be reversed. This is exactly why we have counter forces. This is why I refer to them as counter forces. I don't refer to them as white hats. Okay? Some people refer to them as white hats, and the guys are not white hats. They're not white hats at all. Okay? They can be just as devious as the other side. They will play their games. They will do things that are almost black hat. Okay? Because they are being the living reflection of the dark forces. And the counter forces will take any particular image it needs to basically thwart the energies. So there's balance in all of these cubes that are coming up. Balance, 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 because that's how the universe works. The universe works to keep balance. The universe works to sew the threads that bring about balance again. So will there be reversal? Yes, you're seeing it now. And it's going to play out a little bit longer. Like I said, 2024, well into 2025. 2025 representing a new span, okay, a span of renewal. And it is the Genesis year of the span of renewal. But there's still going to be some fruits of changes that take place because you still have that transitional buffer that may come around 2025, 2026. And then as we start moving to 2027, it'll become a lot more apparent that renewal will be taking place. But 2025 and 2026 are kind of like the buffer transitional time. We're getting out of the span of change. We're coming into the span of renewal, but we need those kind of couple of years to kind of buffer out. It's like you're seeing yourself coming out of the water, right? You get your breath of fresh air, but you're still in the water and you're just swimming to the shore, right? And that will be that 2-year span, 2025, 2026, where it is the Genesis time of the span of renewal. There's a lot of changes that need to take place during that time. A lot of things are moving in the right direction. But as we start moving here in 2024, 2025, there's still going to be intensities. And again, I'd say still a little bit in 2026. But as you get into 2027, moving a lot more in the right direction. Even with what's happening right now, we're moving forward in the right direction. Brad, how can you say that? Because they're doing all kinds of crap upon the planet. Exactly, they're doing all kinds of crap upon the planet because you need to see it so that you can wake up and stand against it. And that is the blessing in disguise. Once these things are being brought out into public awareness, they will not survive. You guys have to understand how clandestinity works. When something is clandestine, you do not know about it. It continues to thrive behind the scenes. But as soon as you take that secret out of the clandestine shadows and you move it over here, and it's now being brought into the public, it doesn't have a chance of surviving. Not one bit. Okay? Got defocusing on my camera here. But it does not have a chance of surviving one bit because it's brought into public awareness. That is the last thing they want. That's the last thing that they want. Oh my God, we don't want our plans being brought out into the public. And this is why I say that they've already been beaten. Okay, they've already been beaten because what has enabled them to thrive for thousands of years is keeping their plans in the dark. What has been able to keep them thriving is to make it feel like they don't exist. And now so many people know that they exist. And now so many people are being exposed to their plans. And so many people are standing up against their plans. And why do you think they're sweating bullets? Why do you think they're just having major heart murmurs right now? They're ready to collapse because everything that was once kept clandestine to their orders is now being exposed. And to have that indicates that they have already been defeated. They're already dead. And all you're seeing here is middle management coming on the screen following a Hollywood script to bring all this stuff out because humanity needs to be aware of the kind of twisted, sick crap that they've been doing so that humanity does not go back down upon that road again. It needs to be shoved right in your face until you say, I don't want this. I do not want this. I want no part of this. I will say no to that. Get out of my face. I don't want anything like that happening on Earth. There you go. That's why these things are happening, guys. That's why I say this is a three-ring circus. That's why I say these things are being shown because it is a coming-of-age ceremony. It is an occult ritual because that's what the counter forces also represent. It's an occult game. It's just taking all of their plans and shoving it in your face. Hey, do you want a dictatorship? Hey, do you want non-binary people? Hey, do you want mass immigration in the countries so that you have absolutely no work at all and so that we're trying to create cartels and more in your neighborhood? No, you're saying no. You're standing up against it. You're pushing all this away. I don't want anything to do with any of this. And now many people are saying the same thing. And the glass ceiling breaks. And now you see it all dissolve. You see it all reverse. Guys, we reversed COVID. COVID-19 has been successfully reversed. Why? Because the world is no longer shut down. We did that. That's one example of what we have been able to do. And everything that they try to put in place, okay, different variances of COVID, monkeypox here, let's return the Zika virus, let's do this. And we all shut it down again and again and again and again and again. That is the power that we have. You took care of COVID. Nobody else did, right? It was all a collective effort through you making it happen. Look into the power that you have. And that power is the certainty of thought action, right? We do not want this and we will stand up against it. We will just stand tall. We will stand in our light and we're telling the earth, we don't want this. clear it away. And that is how you skip over the material plane. We can do things physically, but that's going to play itself out quite a bit over time. How about you leap over that? And it's exactly as I said. You stand in your power. You talk to the earth. Earth, we don't want this. And that's basically what you're doing in meditation. You're seeing a replacement over all of these things that you know detest you, that you know is completely and totally unnatural. And you're going into meditation, you're going into yourself, and you're talking to the earth. Let's see this instead. Let's see people holding hands. Let's see people joining together. Let's create new innovations that benefit the earth. Let's have abundant energy for all that complements the planet so that we have this energy, that we can use it for our daily lives. And you're applying that, and you're applying that, and you're applying that. And as you apply these new beautiful things, all of these old things that are wretched and rigid and old and corrupt and stale, burst. Because we are putting the collective power together. You are meditating. You are talking to the earth. You are seeing these beautiful visions of a new earth that is coming together. I'm not talking about a fourth density earth. I'm talking about this earth here, where she is now growing and expanding thanks to you. You're telling her exactly what we want. We want to have something like this. We're not trying to put the world in our own image, but as compared to this, no. Let's have this instead, and the collective is with you. And now those things start to shatter, right? We're not trying to create Planet Brad here, or Planet Joe, or Planet Jenny, right? But we're deciding that this is what we want instead of what's manifesting here. Rather than trying to manifest this, let's manifest this. And this throbbing light comes in. And therefore it happens, right? It will create a version of the throbbing light that you bring forward through thought action. That's what this is all about. This is a coming of age ceremony. It is an occult ritual. It is an occult game. It is a three-ring circus that is being shown that in front of the scenes to help people to decide on a new world that is complete and totally opposite of everything that is corrupt. And that is what is happening. So you can look at the surface and be worried about all these things, or you can come into yourself and you hop over the physical. You start moving into the subtle planes. You start talking to the earth in this way, and she listens. I want you guys to really consider that. That's what's really going to make a big difference here with what you're seeing and what is to come. Okay? Thank you, Z-Man, for your question. So we got about 10 or 15 minutes left, guys. So we'll take a few more questions. Okay. Okay, this is kind of an interesting question. It's not really current events, but I'll accept it anyways. Sean says, hi, Brad. Is the information in tarot readings always coming from positive energy, or can it be influenced by negative energies at times? Again, you're looking at things too black and white. Okay, it's not about positive, and it's not about negative. You're looking at a gradient, right, guys? Get out of the black and the white. It's not an accurate depiction about how life works. It's a gradient, right? When you are looking at the tarot is responding through your subconscious. Okay, this is subconscious. There's been times too where I've pulled up some readings and they have been pretty nasty. Okay, doesn't mean, oh, Brad's a dark person or anything like that. And then I pulled them up and they've been quite beneficial. Oh, Brad's such a big shining ball of light. No, this is all about the subconscious giving you information based upon what you are positing. Right? What are you positing that represents that question? And through the subconscious, this is what you're getting. Right? This has nothing to do with an entity connecting to you. This has nothing to do with some outside force connecting to your cards and getting you to pull over certain ones. This is all a science. It is subconscious science. The nature of the tarot is reading through the subconscious the questions that you are positing. Okay? It is not about positive energy. It is not about negative energy. In fact, you could be very much debilitated. You could be in a very, very grumpy mood, and you could pull a tarot, and it could be something very, very uplifting and heartfelt and warm to you. even though you are in a despicable mood. Okay, I've even tested that. There's times where I was kind of down the dumps, and I was testing a tarot, and I got this really big, beautiful, illuminating reading, and I was down the dumps, and I was not feeling good at all, and I got positive, or you could say positive readings or illuminating readings in that sense. But it's not coming from positive energy, and it's not coming from negative energy. It's coming from the gradient of your subconscious. Your subconscious is a gradient, right? You guys know what a gradient is. It's a mixture. It's the shades. It's the shades of gray. And it will give you this information relayed back to you through the manifestation of the subconscious as you put the cards down in certain orders, in certain spreads, and so forth. Okay, that's what it does. Has nothing to do with some outside entity. A lot of it in that sense actually has a lot of astrological and numerological significance. It is much more in the nature of dreams because it's coming from the dream plane, because that's the subconscious, right? Everything about the tarot is subconscious, and it is aligned very specifically through ancient occult practices, through numerology, through astrology, through ancient symbolism. Okay, that's what the tarot itself represents. It was created by mystics who knew a lot about the subconscious and knew about this science, and therefore the tarot was a manifestation of that science. Okay, so Sean, hope that answers your question. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at Heather's question. So the WHO treaty will not happen this month yet. I haven't even talked about the WHO yet. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, about a WHO treaty. I think it might. It may even happen, and even if it does happen, it'll be broken down. It's a cube. Okay, maybe that's what I'll start referring these things as right now. Guys, that's a cube. Okay, it may have a treaty. They might have a treaty this month. They may come together with that, and then there will be a short time to where it breaks down. So let's see what the cards have to say, okay? Do not always think that something bad is going to happen when you look at it at face value, because you're not seeing the heart of it. You have to look at the heart of these situations, and that's why I call them the signposts. You have to look at the heart of what is going on to see exactly what the lesson, what the example is. And again, through the learning of it, the cube itself will shatter, okay? So let's take a look here. My feeling is that there may be a treaty that may be signed this month, okay? But it's going to break down. So let's see what the cards say. Okay. So is there going to be a treaty? Looks like it. Looks like it. Yep. But it's not going to last, right? Whatever this WHO treaty represents, it doesn't feel like it's going to last very long. This feels like it's going to be something very positive, because it needs to create tremors. It needs to create tremors in the internal systems, and it needs to shut down. So we have the Page of Swords here representing communication, the opportunity of, well, here's the Virgo Venus, here is the Nine of Pentacles. Whatever is going on pertaining to this treaty, it is going to bring about great resolve, right? It's the idea of something blossoming. It's the idea of new communication happening. It's the idea of watching the WHO probably either be overhauled or shut down completely. It feels like there may be some stingy rigidness pertaining to these treaties that are maybe looking to come about, but I don't think it's going to last. I really don't think so. I keep getting this is actually a celebration with what happens. And even if there is a WHO treaty, it's something that, like I said, we are looking at the lesson. We are looking at the example of what it represents. It's a cube, and it's going to burst, okay? So is the WHO treaty happening? Probably, but it's going to lead into it falling apart, cascading. It's like looking at a bubble, right? You can only pump it up for so much, and then it bursts. Or again, looking at the cube, once it hits the glass ceiling, it bursts. Do not be surprised if there is a treaty or if there is no treaty. Whatever it is leading to the downfall of everything that is corrupt. Everything that is corrupt on this planet will burst. And it's exactly what I just explained earlier about getting into your heart, talking to the earth. This is what I prefer instead. All right. Thank you, Heather. Okay. Let's take maybe about one or two more questions. Okay. So again, guys, just current event questions, please. Let's see. Okay, here's one from Mary. Mary says, "Hi, Brad. Could you ask the cards about the health of the horses that got injured in London? Not heard anything more about them." Okay, let's take a look. Really, there was part of that PSYOP situation that was happening, I believe. Okay, let's take a look at what's happening with the health of the horses. Have you guys been sending love to them? Been sending energy to them? Because that will certainly help them out. So let's take a look. Actually, it tells me I think they're okay. Okay, this is the good news. It looks like they're okay. So again, looks like there's been a lot of nurturing and helping out of the animals when this situation occurred. It looks like they're going to pull through. Okay, maybe there's been some injuries, but it looks like they're still breathing. Okay, so this has been a tragedy that has happened in the past relating to the injury of the horses taking place in London, again through this particular PSYOP, right? But the good news, I feel like they're going to pull through. I think they're going to be okay. Okay, they're getting a lot of TLC. They're getting a lot of tender, loving care, and I think there's going to be accountability pertaining to how this happened, right? So it feels like there's just kind of like a preeminence of a justice card taking place here. So a lot of energies are happening, right? A lot of momentum is happening to probably get this looked into a lot more further. Okay, but we're also seeing this here as well too as a bondage. Perhaps this investigation won't lead to any answers, but nonetheless, an investigation is taking place. Okay, but as far as the horses, from what I can tell, looks like they're getting some tender, loving care. All right, thank you very much, Mary. All right, so let's go to the last question for today's broadcast, and we're going to wrap up. Okay. Okay, gonna scroll down. Getting a lot of spammers on Rumble talking about some giveaway. So. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, I think we'll end with this question here with Jan. Jan says, "Hi, Brad, a question. Who is allowing this mass immigration in Europe and USA, which is causing too many problems?" Well, it's the elites, right? This is all part of their plan, is to basically fill immigration, mass immigration. A lot of these people are criminals, right? That's what it is. They call it mass immigration, but it's a lot of their criminal buddies, right? It's a lot of, you could say, proxy forces that were coming in and trying to create civil war situations. Now, like I said, this again is part of the liquid that is filling up in the glass cube to eventually break, because it is going to be reversed. Like I said, it has not hit that particular climax point yet. But a lot of people are noticing this mass immigration, specifically within the US, even Canada as well too. Canada has mass immigration as well. Canada, the US, you could basically say the West, right? The West is basically getting this immigration agenda that is taking place. This immigration agenda is basically, like I said, a lot of it involves criminals. Not all, but a lot of them are basically criminals. They're basically part of these proxies. They're basically an army that is trying to come in through the gates of other countries and basically trying to take things over. But the good news is, like I said, once it reaches a boiling point, all of this is going to be reversed. And I think there is going to be some massive deportation that will take place. Where there's massive immigration, to balance it out comes massive deportation. I'm not talking about good people who are immigrants. I'm talking about people who are really here illegally, who have got in through kind of sneaky tactics, who basically, again, are part of proxy forces, proxy armies. This is all part of trying to take over, creating a gigantic takeover with a lot of these Satanists, you can say, and a lot of their minions, so to speak. But like I said, it will reach a boiling point, and therefore it will lead into massive deportation. As much of immigration has taken place, deportation will take place primarily through the illegals. And that's what I'm seeing right now pertaining to that. So this has to hit its glass ceiling. This cube needs to burst. And then rather than a cube, we're seeing a sphere. A sphere comes together to bring about the natural order of things. And that will involve illegal, criminal deportation from many different countries that are hosting this mass immigration agenda. Okay. Thank you, Jan, for your question. Thank you, everybody, for all of your questions today. I really appreciate it. We're out of time. Actually, I mean, let's go with Life is Magic. Life is Magic. I just see your question here. Glad I caught it. I didn't even know you gave me a donation. Life is Magic. Thank you. Will the next general election in Singapore bring great transformation in Singapore? We've already talked about this. I think we've already talked about the nature of Singapore, but we'll look into a little bit more about the after effects of this election. Okay, because I remember we were talking about an election in Singapore. Okay, but we'll take a look at a general election after effect, the post-elections. Okay, what is ahead for Singapore after post-elections? Okay, let's take a look and see what we got. And this will be the question that we'll end on. Kind of has ups and downs. Okay, so like I said, it's not something where you can go out in the street and just start dancing with the rainbows because this election has happened. It does represent, in that sense, a very strong prominence of the balance of power shifting. Okay, so it is going to lead to a shifting of the balance of power, but that involves getting a lot of the riffraff out of the country. Okay, so I think there's going to be some new policies made that will help to clear out a lot of the riffraff that have been hanging around in Singapore, perhaps a lot of the cartels. It may represent a moving in of the kind of like task forces to basically clear out a lot of remaining cartels that are in Singapore. So Singapore looks like it's going to be going through a major cleanup. Okay, so we have the strength card here in the past. Present, again, represents the nature of investigation, looking, right? Basically looking at all of these situations that have been unfolding in Singapore, perhaps pertaining to criminal rings, cartel rings in that way, and basically shutting them down. So I think it's really going to lead to a cleanup. This is why I say it's going to have good and bad times. You could say up and down times in that way. Things can look pretty horrible, but then this will represent solution. This will represent transformation. This will represent resolution. Okay, and it looks like, so again, it feels like the sun is shining on Singapore, but you still got more mountain to climb. Okay, it's not you reaching the summit, but you're doing pretty well, right? So again, this represents the idea of looking also into the past and being able to clean up the past so that you feel like the fool right here, right? You're cleaning up the past, you're saying goodbye to the past, and you're climbing up further because you're cleaning everything out, okay? So yes, criminal cartels are here. They're about to be cleaned out. This is going to lead into a new time for Singapore, but like I said, it is still going to have its ups and downs. That's what I'm seeing through post-election. Okay. Thank you very much, Life is Magic. Blessings to you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. And I will speak to you again next week. Again, next Wednesday, I will be on again for Wisdom Transmissions Live and then the Signposts on Thursday. So thank you, guys. Take care of yourselves. Blessings to you all. Speak to you next week. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaskar. May it be well with you. Take care and bye for now.